In 2018, a man drove a van into a crowd in Toronto, killing 10 people. In his final Facebook post, there was one word that stood out: incel. This man was heavily inspired by another man named Elliot Rodger, who just 4 years prior, in 2014, killed 6 people. Elliot Rodger left a lengthy manifesto as well as several YouTube videos describing his loneliness, failure in romance, and immense resentment for women because he harbored a deep entitlement to their affection. He was heavily involved in these incel forums as well, and after his attack, which was directly motivated by his beliefs, he died by suicide and was hailed as a hero in these communities. These are not isolated incidents. Researchers have now documented a clear pipeline from online incel communities to real-world political violence. So how does a lonely guy on the internet become a terrorist, and how does this path he took directly tie into fascism? That's the question that I'll be answering today. So for some context, the term incel originated in about 1997 when a woman named Alana created a blog called Alana's Involuntary Celibacy Project. Alana was a college student in her mid-20s at the time who didn't have the best of luck romantically. Let's just say she wasn't really getting much play, I think you get what I mean there. She understood the struggle of not having much experience and luck with relationships, so she decided to make a community where people of all genders and sexual orientations who share this struggle can talk to each other and help each other out. She chose the term involuntary celibacy as a neutral alternative to the more insulting phrases like calling someone a loser virgin. This got shortened to just incel, and didn't really have a negative connotation at the time. That's just kind of what they called themselves. Alana moved on from this community in about 2000, and that's when things started to get pretty messy. This community that she fostered had split into 2 main splinters: incel support, which was basically the same very inclusive and kind community that Alana made, and Love Shy, which was much less moderated, overwhelmingly consisting of men, but more importantly, these men seem to be united on one idea. The reason why they are lonely is because of women. These were men, many of whom had serious problems like loneliness, struggles with dating, maybe they got cheated on, stuff like that, and this community served as an outlet for this pain. That real pain that they were experiencing was redirected into resentment targeted towards women. Between 2000 and 2010, this community and this version of incels blew up, primarily on this little site called 4chan. During this time, lots of men were radicalized into believing that women are the reason that their life sucks. This resonates with many men dealing with loneliness because this large issue of male loneliness is framed as a male loneliness epidemic. There is, of course, truth to this. Young men are about twice as likely to be single than young women. Many report not having close friends and things like that, and men are almost 4 times more likely to commit suicide than women are. So if I were to say that there is no male loneliness problem, I would be completely lying. There absolutely is. But this might be a hot take. I've had many debates with a few friends over this, and it doesn't seem to be the most popular position. I don't believe in the male loneliness epidemic. I think that framing it as an epidemic disregards that male loneliness is a symptom of a larger issue regarding isolation and alienation across society, as well as being strongly fueled by traditional expectations and masculine norms for men. Framing it as a male loneliness epidemic also makes it very marketable by people who just want to profit off of men struggling with mental health issues because, let's be honest, the most profitable demographic is desperate men. Here, let me give you a piece of advice, okay? If you want to be rich, just become a right-wing grifter or find any other way to cater to desperate men. I promise you, you will become a millionaire overnight. It is so fucking easy. You just find a problem that many men have, point to a marginalized group of people and say, hey, they're actually why you have this problem. And that is literally it. Because of this, a multi-billion-dollar industry emerged that is entirely built on telling lonely men that women are the reason their lives aren't working out. In its peak in 2022, Andrew Tate's Hustlers University generated well over $100 million selling courses to men about how they can get rich and attract women. His courses don't fucking work. They're bullshit, and that's exactly the point, because a man who genuinely finds confidence and connection, but more importantly, finds hope that these superficial things will solve their problems, will never stop buying. On the flip side, people like Tate know that if they actually sell something that helps these men, then they will not keep customers. So they feed them this red pill slop bullshit over and over and over again and just keep milking them for every dollar they have. This is the exact same mechanism that's been used to drive many predatory industries. Identify a real problem, make up a diagnosis, and sell a solution that never fucking works. Rinse and repeat. This industry has gone so far that it's beyond just selling courses. That was some 2020 shit. Now, the industry sells an entirely new standard of male physical appearance that men are told they must achieve to be worthy of love or respect. Enter Looksmaxxing. Similarly to the incel community, this has its roots also in the 2000s to 2010s on places just like 4chan, but it's blown up significantly these past few years. Looksmaxxing is a term used to describe the obsessive optimization of physical appearance, and I mean obsessive. Like, everyone knows the basics, mewing, bone smashing, that stuff, but for someone like Clavicular, this is nothing. For some context, if you live under a rock or just, have a real life and aren't a complete fucking loser like I am, Clavicular is a streamer who blew up for his, let's just say, over-the-top approach to looksmaxxing. He's been talking about getting double jaw surgery for a while, allegedly does meth to look better, and has also apparently taken steroids for the past few years, which has caused him to be sterile at the age of like 20 or 21. He endorses this kind of behavior to his audience of young men and pushes this narrative that you've got to do these kind of things in order to attract women. Often on his streams, he's seen clubbing or partying with other women, usually just fucking berating them really, and he's gone to jail not once, but twice. First for running a guy over in his Cybertruck, and second for shooting a fucking alligator. Such a great role model, am I right? Due to the influence of Clavicular and this brand of looksmaxxing as a whole, supplement and cosmetic surgery industries have seen massive growth in the male market over the past decade, and communities like this are a significant reason why. Young men are being sold the idea that their fucking bone structure determines their worth as a human being, and that if they just buy the right products and do the right procedures, they might be good enough. I mean, these dudes have used terms that I've never fucking heard of in my entire life, like biacromial width, maxilla, what the fuck is that? Things like mid-face ratio and chin to philtrum ratio, like, this is just clear-cut, extreme obsessive behavior, but it's sold to young men as the only solution to their problem of loneliness, or not looking as good as they want to be, stuff like that. And just to be clear, there's absolutely nothing wrong with advice on improving your appearance or saying you should go to the gym and stuff like that. That's great if you advocate for people to exercise regularly, groom themselves well, take care of their hygiene, things like this, because it is just objectively beneficial for self-growth and, luck in the dating market. But the extremes that are being sold to young men are very unhealthy, mentally and physically, and they don't help. They will only delve people deeper into the insecurity that they're already trying to solve. What's even more ironic than this is that these are largely the same communities, the same political circles that lean heavily conservative and vocally oppose, something like gender-affirming care for transgender people. The argument against trans healthcare is usually framed around bodily autonomy and the ethics of medical intervention. But these same communities will celebrate this young man Clavicular getting double jaw surgery and taking testosterone injections to appear more masculine while calling a trans woman getting hormone therapy mentally ill. The difference was never about the medical intervention. It was about whose identity deserves to be validated and whose doesn't. That distinction, the in-group versus the out-group, is something that's going to become pretty important in just a minute. So moving on from that, let's talk about fascism. Now, I know that word gets thrown around a lot, so let me be specific about what I mean. At its core, fascism as a political ideology operates on one fundamental mechanism. Your suffering is real, and it's caused by this specific group of people. Does that sound familiar? In Nazi Germany, for example, the in-group was obviously the Aryan race and Christian nationalism. The out-group was Jewish people, Roma people, disabled people, socialists, union organizers, scholars, basically anyone who didn't fit the idealized version of who deserved to belong, and anyone who didn't agree with it as well. The specific content of the scapegoat changes depending on the context, but the mechanism is the exact same. Now look at incel ideology through that same lens. Your suffering is real. Loneliness, rejection, lack of connection, and it's caused by this specific group of people. Women. Women who won't date you. Women who have too many options. Women who have been liberated from traditional roles that otherwise would have made them available to you. The content is different, but the mechanism is identical. This is why the pipeline from incel communities to explicitly far-right politics is so well documented and so consistent. It's not a coincidence or an accident. Men who have already accepted the core fascist logic, my problems are caused by this outgroup, are already philosophically primed for every other version of this argument. When Charlie Kirk or Tucker Carlson tells him that immigrants are destroying this country, and push narratives like the Great Replacement Theory, or when the right tells them that diversity is an attack on their identity, the logical structure is the exact same as what they already believe about women. This is not like a jump being made, it's literally just the next logical step for them. I mean, there's a reason why you see conservatives like Charlie Kirk saying things like women should submit to their husbands, and criticizing women voting. It's because the same incel or incel adjacent logic is the same exact formula for any other fundamental ideas in fascist beliefs. And this pipeline isn't an accident, it's actively cultivated. Far-right groups have been documented deliberately recruiting from incel and red pill communities because they know exactly what they're getting. Young men who are already angry, already have an outgroup to blame, and are already primed for radicalization. The algorithm does a significant amount of this work for free as well. YouTube's recommendation system is notorious for pushing users from self-improvement content to red pill content to explicitly far-right content through a series of individually small steps that collectively represent a dramatic radicalization. And this is where the financial and political interests meet. The red pill industry profits from male anger, and the far right profits from that same anger directed at immigrants, minorities, and political opponents, things of this nature. The people who own the platforms profit from the engagement that the outrage generates regardless of where it's directed. I mean, you have people like fucking Elon Musk, who's like the trifecta for all of this. This fucker bought Twitter and rebranded it, and under his ownership, Twitter has become a cesspool for this kind of heinous rhetoric, with Musk himself having pushed a lot of harmful narratives, many of which are just straight up anti-Semitic. He's also known for disowning his daughter because she's trans. This is the same guy that spent almost $300 million in the 2024 election to help his buddy Trump get elected, and then played a direct role in his administration with the miserable failure known as Doge. My point is, everyone in the system benefits from keeping young men angry, isolated, and looking for someone else to blame. Everyone except these young men themselves, and especially the many people who are victims of this harmful rhetoric that they push, which, as I mentioned at the start of this video, has directly led to people getting killed. So you might ask yourself then, what's actually causing the loneliness and alienation that makes men vulnerable to this pipeline in the first place? Let me tell you, it sure as fuck isn't women. The data is clear on this. Women are just as lonely and just as alienated as men are. What's actually happening is the systemic destruction of genuine communities under capitalism. Yes, our favorite system in the world. Third places where people used to naturally connect. Bars, malls, community centers, clubs, local spaces that existed outside of work and home were steadily eliminated or priced out of existence. Work hours have increased while wages have stagnated, leaving people too exhausted for any kind of actual social connection. Social media has replaced authentic relationships with superficial engagement, and then you got apps like Tinder and Hinge, which yet again profit off of people seeking that intimate connection with someone else, and profit even more off of people failing to get these connections. Capitalism is truly a parasitic system, which is very much akin to cancer, an endlessly growing system in a finite environment. When you run out of people around the world to exploit for their labor, what do you have to do? You have to start exploiting the psyche itself, profiting off of people simply wanting to socialize and seek relationships to the point that it essentially paywalls any sort of fucking social or relationship fulfillment. Profiting off of people simply wanting to socialize and seek relationships to the point that it essentially paywalls any social or romantic fulfillment that you can get. This creates a vacuum filled by online communities built not around supporting you or helping you by any fucking means, good one, but around keeping you engaged, angry, and spending your money. The incel industrial complex didn't create the loneliness crisis. It found it, monetized it, and deliberately made it worse because a lonely man is a profitable man. Now, as to what the solution is, I don't fucking know. This is an issue that's obviously well beyond just having one definitive answer, and an issue that broadly encompasses our society as a whole. What I do know, though, is that the solution isn't to tell people that their loneliness isn't real. It's important to acknowledge this and help people feel like they belong, even if it's just the little things like making small talk with someone who might look like they're down. It's also important to understand the enemy was never women, just like it was never Muslims or immigrants or whatever other scapegoat you want to use. The enemy was always the people selling you the idea that you are being wronged by another certain group of people. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and let me know what you think down in the comments below. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you all in the next one.